The American President Donald Trump is facing growing domestic pressure to justify his war on Iran. As he and his administration is struggling to present a clear end game for the war, the critics are now questioning his strategy and also about his war plans. The legislators say that the White House has failed to clearly articulate why the United States in fact even started this war. What does it hope to achieve, and how long would this conflict continue to drag on? A number of U.S. Senate Democrats are now pushing for open hearings following a series of confidential briefings from the Trump administration officials. Senator Chris Murphy, who attended a 2-hour-long classified briefing of the war, slammed the U.S. strategy as incoherent and unlikely to achieve any of the stated objectives. In a series of tweets, he has said that the U.S. war goals do not involve destroying the Iranian nuclear program or even looking at a regime change. He said that it seems that the goal primarily is to destroy lots of missiles, boats and drone factories. And he also claimed that the United States has no plans to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. In another interview, he called this a disaster of epic proportions. The Democrat senators are also calling for an independent inquiry into a strike on a girls' school in Minab in southern Iran. Now, reports suggest that the attack, which the investigators say involved an American Tomahawk cruise missile, had killed about 170, an overwhelming majority of whom happened to be young children, predominantly girls in the age group of 5 to 12. In the latest, the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said that President Donald Trump's recent claims that Iran has got Tomahawk missiles that it apparently used on a school is beyond asinine. He also slammed the president's conflicting claims on ending the war.
Which is it? Is the war ending soon, or are we on the brink of the worst fighting yet? Donald Trump's a liar. He claims that Iranian Tomahawk missiles were responsible for the bombing of an all-girls school that unfortunately killed 170 people, many of them children. Iran doesn't have Tomahawk missiles. The claim is beyond asinine. It's just an outright lie.
Now, this video shows an American Tomahawk cruise missile striking a structure that the Americans claim was actually next to the school. The New York Times has authenticated the video that was uploaded by the Iranian semi-official Mehr News, but Trump still has tried to deflect the blame onto Iran, even suggesting that it is Tehran that has got Tomahawks.
There's footage that shows that an American missile strike and a Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility?
Well, I
for
haven't
that strike?
seen it, and I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries, you know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more, but whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries, but that's being investigated right now.
Now, several media reports have claimed that an error by artificial intelligence may have actually led to this bombing of the school using the Tomahawk missile, which many say was in fact a double-tap attack. Now, the Pentagon, however, has refused to confirm these reports. Earlier, the Wall Street Journal had reported that Anthropic's AI model, Claude, was in fact used by the U.S. military to plan initial attacks on Iran. All right, now joining us on the broadcast, we've got our correspondent Susan Tehrani, who's joining us from New York. Susan, a lot of questions are being raised about what is the objective of the war, and this is day 12 of the American war on Iran along with the Israelis. At this moment, there are these briefings that are being held behind closed doors to the legislators in the United States, and many of them are coming out and saying that the American president does not seem to have any strategy as to what the objectives of this war are and as to how he can bring this war to an end. Does the United States of America actually have a plan and also a clear objective on what it seeks to achieve with this war?
Yeah, it's interesting regarding those closed door meetings. And that's why I think lawmakers now want an open door meeting, because it seems like the Democrats and the Republicans come out of two very different meetings, almost separate meetings. The Republicans, for the most part, are convinced that the United States indeed does have a strategy and had a strategy and planning going into this operation against Iran. But when the Democrats come out, it appears that they have just gotten a briefing in another building or another room and not the same meeting. They're concerned that while they praise the U.S. military for its operation thus far, they're concerned that there isn't a strategy for the day after, and also a strategy to prevent Iran, if its regime stays in place, from acquiring these weapons in the near future. And then there is that concern, and Republicans share this concern as well, of talks of having boots on the ground in Iran, American boots on the ground. Some of that stems from conflicting reports coming out of the White House, although White House officials have made clear that the president doesn't have an appetite for that, at least for now. But people like Senator Lindsey Graham, when he goes on television and talks about the possibility of boots on the ground and the fact that he supports them, then someone like Nancy Mace, which is also from the same state as Lindsey Graham, comes out, and she's a Republican, and says that we don't want North Carolinians for their children to be sent to the war zone. And I will tell you, the majority of the Americans don't want boots on the ground. That will be a very difficult sell to the American public, notably in an election year. So the concern for boots on the ground, how long this is going to last, and whether or not there is a plan for the day after is what these Democrats are concerned about. But again, you hear from Republicans, they say when they come out of these briefings, they're convinced. So perhaps an open briefing would be beneficial right now.
Indeed. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Susan Tehrani, for joining us with those updates then.